For western Washington, scattered rain and snow showers and wind tonight, and you could get a brief break in the weather tomorrow, with highs or lows tonight in the mid-20s to mid-30s and highs to around the mid-30s to near 40. East of the Cascades, a chance of snow and a chance of rain in the lowlands. The lows range from the mid-teens to near 30. And tomorrow, a chance of rain and snow showers with highs in the upper 20s to mid-30s. It's 5 o'clock. Northwest Public Broadcasting, KQWS, 90.1 FM Omac, your NPR news service in Yucatan Valley. Northwest Public Broadcasting is a community service of the Edward R. Murrow College of Communication at Washington State University. Online at nwpb.org.
Legislation is the result of compromise, and it would be outrageous for the president to shut down this government again.
Congressional negotiators reached a tentative deal to avoid a home shutdown.
For Tuesday, February 12th, this is All Things Considered from NPR News.
I'm Mary Louise Kelly.
And I'm Audie Cornish. Will the president sign a border security compromise or will he veto?
Am I happy at first glance? I just got to see it. The answer is no. I'm not.
Also this hour, what puts some kids on the path to violence? Psychologists and FBI analysts who study school shootings are struggling to answer that question.
Whether or not they've ever been diagnosed, something is going on that could be addressed through some kind of treatment.
And the change to the Oscars for awards will be presented during ad breaks this year in an effort to make the ceremony shorter.
That's coming up after the news.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced today the Green New Deal will get a vote in the Senate. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben reports the bill's Senate sponsors calling it a way to sabotage the bill without giving it hearings or debate.
McConnell frames the decision to hold a vote not as a way to advance the Democratic legislation, but as a way to make lawmakers weigh in on it.
We're going to be voting on that in the Senate. We'll give everybody an opportunity to go on record and see how they feel about the
New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey unveiled the non-binding resolution last week. It calls for drastically cutting carbon emissions while overhauling large swaths of the economy in the process. Climate advocates say grand-scale changes are needed. But critics of the Green New Deal, including some climate experts, say it's unrealistic and lacking in specifics. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News.
President Trump's nominee to lead the Justice Department, William Barr, is moving one step closer to confirmation. As Ryan Lucas explained, senators today advanced Barr's nomination for final confirmation.
The 55 to 44 procedural vote sets up Barr for his final confirmation vote on the Senate floor. 3 Democrats, Joe Manchin, Doug Jones, and Kyrsten Sinema, joined Republicans in support of Barr. Republican Senator Rand Paul, meanwhile, voted against him. If confirmed, this would be Barr's second stint in charge of the Justice Department. He previously served as Attorney General in the George H.W. Bush administration. Democrats have concerns about how Barr will handle Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Barr has pledged to make public as much of Mueller's final report as possible, but he has refused to promise to release the full report. The Senate is likely to vote on Barr's confirmation later this week. Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Washington.
Striking teachers in Denver again calling for a pay increase in what is now the second day of a walkout there. The dispute is over the school district's incentive-based pay system, which gives bonuses to teachers who work in schools for low-income families. The union leaders want to free up some or all of that bonus money so it can be added to overall teacher pay. Remain open with administrators, substitutes, and teachers not participating in the strike teaching classes. Respective sides were back at the bargaining table today with the help of a federal mediator. Reassuring words from Federal Reserve Board Chair Jerome Powell today. Powell saying the probability of a recession at this point does not feel, quote, at all elevated. During a visit to a historically black university in the Mississippi Delta today, also said the job market appears strong. Powell noted that many rural areas have not benefited from national prosperity. He said those areas may need special support. A strong day on Wall Street. The Dow was up 372 points today. The Nasdaq rose 106 points. This is
support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Subaru, featuring the all-new 3-row Ascent with seating for up to 8 and the choice of second
sheriffs and police chiefs who refuse to enforce a new photo-approved gun law in Washington face potential legal liability. That's the warning today from Attorney General Bob Ferguson. Olympia correspondent Austin Jenkins reports.
Initiative 1639 raises the age to buy a semi-automatic rifle and requires an expanded background check. Several Washington sheriffs have indicated they don't think the law is constitutional and don't plan to enforce it. In an open letter, Attorney General Bob Ferguson, a Democrat, warns that if a sheriff or a police chief refuses to do the background check, they could face legal liability, at least in the event that someone who's not supposed to have a gun gets one and commits a crime with it. The background check provision in the new law doesn't take effect until this July. Gun rights groups are currently challenging I-1639 in court. In his letter, Ferguson tells sheriffs and police chiefs, quote, "If you personally disagree with the initiative, seek to change it or file a lawsuit challenging it, but do not substitute your personal views over that of the people." I'm Austin Jenkins in Olympia.
Currently, gun rights groups are challenging the constitutionality of the new law in court. The state of Idaho has placed a bounty on rainbow trout in the South Fork of the Snake River in hopes of reducing the population of the invasive species. Fish and Game Department staff catch the fish and affix tiny tags to their snouts to incentivize anglers to catch and keep the fish. Prize money ranging from $50 to $1,000 is awarded to anyone who turns in a rainbow trout head containing a coded wire tag. The department started the incentive program in 2010 after the South Fork's rainbow population jumped. The department estimates at least 30% of the fishery's rainbows need to be harvested to put a dent in the invasive population. This is Northwest Public Broadcasting News. There's more news at nwpb.org. President Trump suggests there won't be another government shutdown.
I don't think you're going to see a shutdown. I wouldn't want to go to it now. If you did have it, it's the Democrats' fault.
But Trump says he's not happy with the tentative deal congressional negotiators have reached. More on that is coming up on All Things Considered.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Mary Louise Kelly.
And I'm Audie Cornish. On Capitol Hill, a handful of lawmakers have struck a deal on border security. Now they have to sell it to their colleagues and the president by Friday. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says President Trump got a, quote, pretty good deal here, though it doesn't have all the border wall funding he wanted.
Let's bring in one of the key architects of this compromise. Congresswoman Nita Lowey is a Democrat from New York. She chairs the House Appropriations Committee, and she is one of the lawmakers who hammered out this deal. Congresswoman, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
So to make sure that my understanding is right, four of you, you and another Democrat and two Republicans, brokered this draft, and now the full conference committee of 17 is working through it.
That's correct. And I must say, for me, it was a real privilege to be part of this effort. This is really what government is all about. We had Democrats, Republicans sitting at a table, brokering the final agreement, final details, and I think it sends a strong message that this works.
Let me pause you there, though, if I may, because there comes the final agreement, the final details. At least one of the other members of the committee, this is Republican Congressman Tom Graves, tweeted this morning he hasn't signed off on it and he has some concerns about it.
Well, Tom Graves is a member of Congress, and again, that's the way democracy works.
But he's also one of the 17 who's been hammering out this compromise.
That's right, and I have no idea what he's complaining about. And all I can say is Senator Shelby, Senator Leahy, Congresswoman Granger, Illinois, got a great deal of input from colleagues on the conference committee, and then we sat down and brokered the final deal, which I think does represent the way democracy works.
In the end, was the amount of funding for a physical barrier, the actual dollar sign on that, was the sticking point?
We negotiated. We talked about many different things. Everyone was very honest, was very direct, and when that number was brought to the team by myself, there was some discussion, and then it was accepted.
That number is reported to be $1.375 billion.
I haven't released it because it was my commitment, but you seem to have the number and everyone else has the number.
Isn't that almost exactly what was on offer last December before the whole shutdown?
Well, frankly, It denies the president billions of dollars in funding for the concrete wall that he demanded.
The president says, in fact, last night in El Paso, the banners and signs and chants were about finishing the wall. Is there any effort in this bill to stop the president from doing that, from doing just that, from building a wall on his own?
I can't direct the president what to do as a member of Congress.
You're saying you couldn't stop him if he decides to do something by
I am
executive order?
just saying that this was a bipartisan process. Democrats and Republicans came together in good faith to work out a compromise bill. If the president decides to act in opposition, in violation of this bill, then the conferees probably would have to get together and respond.
Here's my big picture question. Are we going to keep having this fight? Because after all this, after the shutdown, after everything, the money runs out again at the end of September, when we will, of course, be that much closer to the 2020 election.
It's hard for me to believe that Republicans or Democrats would want to shut the government down and support that kind of action by the president. It's irresponsible, it's inappropriate. All those people who were out of work are just starting to get back to work. It's really time for the president to do his job. He needs to lead, he needs to govern, not play politics and tweet to his base.
Democrat Nita Lowey of New York, Congresswoman, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
And we will hear from Republican Congressman Tom Graves elsewhere on tonight's program.
So President Trump is trying to decide whether to support that bipartisan deal, even as it doesn't give him everything he wants on border security. So from our return to NPR's Tamara Keith at the White House. Hey there, Tamara.
Hello.
So how is President Trump responding to the deal today?
Well, he held a cabinet meeting earlier today, and he said that he hadn't seen all the details yet, but that he's not happy.
I can't say I'm happy. I can't say I'm thrilled. But the wall's getting built. Regardless, doesn't matter, because we're doing other things beyond what we're talking about here.
This deal, as we just heard Congresswoman Lowey say, comes up well short of the $5.7 billion in wall funding that President Trump had demanded and shut the government down over about a month and a half ago. This works out to about 55 miles of barrier when they had asked for more than 200 miles of barrier. And it will be bollard fencing, which President Trump has called steel slat barrier, not a concrete wall, though the president has sort of moved on from the concrete thing a long time ago. Sean Hannity, who is an ally of the president's, on his Fox show last night, called it a garbage compromise.
But in those comments, are people reading it as the president maybe thinking of rejecting the deal? I mean, is there a chance we'll see another government shutdown at the end of the week?
Well, you never say never, but even though the president and his closest allies seem to hate the deal, he also clearly doesn't want to have another government shutdown.
I don't think you're going to see a shutdown. I wouldn't want to go out there, man. If you did have it, it's a Democrat's fault. And I accept what I'm proud of, what we've accomplished.
What he accomplished was getting blamed for the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, which put his approval rating through the ringer and really negatively affected hundreds of thousands of federal workers. But his positive take on it is that everyone is talking about border security now.
At the same time, you mentioned Sean Hannity calling it a garbage compromise. So if the president signs this legislation, where does that leave his promise to his supporters to build a border wall?
Well, it leaves it in the rebranding department, partially. That's why we're hearing him now say finish the wall instead of build the wall. And in fact, there has been some small amount of border fence that has been constructed over the past 2 years, and a little, like 4 miles of it that are underway right now. But as he also alluded to in that first clip that we played, the president is now going to try to go around Congress to get the wall built another way. One Trump ally told me that this agreement allows the president to do whatever he wants after he signs it with no downside. Several Republicans in the Senate have said that they expect him to move money from elsewhere or possibly declare a national emergency to free up funds. And here's what the president himself said about it.
The bottom line is on the wall, we're building the wall, and we're using other methods other than this. And in addition to this, we have a lot of things going. We have a lot of money in this country, and we're using some of that money, a small percentage of that money, to build the wall, which we desperately need.
Now, I've asked numerous people inside the White House and the administration how exactly this works, what legal basis they plan to use, where the money would come from, and other questions, and no one has yet given me a specific answer. But there do appear to be some options out there, including a statute that allows the Defense Department to construct roads and fences in drug smuggling corridors. And the White House has been talking a lot about drugs as relates to the border recently. But all of this comes with risk that Congress pushes back, risk that this ends up in court, in legal challenges.
That's NPR's Tamara Keith at the White House. Tamara, thanks for explaining it.
You're welcome. Some Oscar winners will have to put their thank yous to the left of a commercial break. As NPR's Bob Mondello reports, this is the latest effort to shorten the marathon telecast.
The length of the Oscars telecast has long been the subject of both concern and jokes. In 1979, Oscars host Johnny Carson began his monologue with this quip.
This is the 51st Annual Academy Awards. 2 hours of sparkling entertainment spread out over a 4-hour show.
Last year's Oscar ceremony came perilously close to that prescription, running 3 hours and 53 minutes, while garnering the lowest U.S. viewership in Oscars history. The Motion Picture Academy committed to producing a 3-hour show this year, and now they've revealed one way they hope to get to that running time. 4 categories: Best Cinematography, Film Editing, Live Action Short, and Makeup and Hairstyling will be presented during commercial breaks. The presentations will be streamed live online, while an edited version, including what members were told would be the spirit of the winning speeches, will be aired during the broadcast. What home viewers won't see is the walk-up to the stage and the lists of thank yous. After watching a video demonstration of the edited format, 6 branches of the Academy opted in. 4 were chosen this year and will be guaranteed a live spot in next year's broadcast. Academy President John Bailey explained in a letter to Academy members that viewing patterns are changing quickly in the multimedia world, and our show must also evolve to successfully continue promoting motion pictures to a worldwide audience. Others criticized that view. Steve Yedlin, the cinematographer of Star Wars The Last Jedi, tweeted cryptically, "TV show whose sole purpose is to package for public consumption the celebration of cinema craft announces that the celebration of cinema craft is too boring for public consumption." While shortening the Oscars telecast has been a goal in recent decades, it wasn't always. In 1959, the telecast was scheduled for 2 hours and came up 20 minutes short, forcing co-host Jerry Lewis to vamp.
We would like to now do 300 choruses of There's No Business Like Show Business.
After a few moments of thanking anyone he could think of, he grabbed the orchestra leader's baton and led the band as the stage full of nominees danced away the remaining time. This year's ceremony will be Sunday, February 24. I'm Bob Mondello.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we take a moment to recap some of the outstanding awards given this evening, the 31st Annual Academy Awards.
It's 5:18. Thanks again for choosing to make Northwest Public Broadcasting's All Things Considered a part of your Tuesday. I'm Tom Kilcane. Psychologists say most school shooters have experienced significant trauma, and they have been struggling alone for a long time.
There's loss, there's humiliation, there's anger, and then there's blame.
That need to blame and seek revenge is what often leads to violence. We'll get a closer look, and that's next on Northwest Public Broadcasting. Support for Northwest Public Broadcasting comes from listeners like you, Informatics, providing IT solutions to education and government customers, featuring EdNetics